Yo, welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Guy, back again with another recap of One Friday Fights 135, which took place last Friday, the 28th of November, at our post to South African time. It was a very good fight card, even though it didn't have that much star power, if we're being real. Like, there weren't that many high profile names on the fight card, but it did produce some really good fights, you know, for the card, for the general Friday Fights feel. It did still produce the quality that we always love to watch on the Friday Fights cards. So I'm gonna get straight into that. Before I do that, please like, share, and subscribe. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Let's kick off this Monday with a nice recap to build us up for a fantastic fight week ahead. We have One Friday Fights 136. We have One Fight Night 38. We also have UFC 323. So we will get into that as this week progresses. But for now, we're just going to recap this fun fight card. Let me bring it up on screen for you guys and we'll get straight into it. As always, where we start at the top of the fucking fight card. Let's go! Okay, so in the main event, this was actually the only fight on the fight card that we got wrong and blew our parlay, actually. Do you think I might still have the parlay here? Let me see if I can bring it up on screen for you guys. Yep, there we go. As you can see there, Warapun, Konklai, Panpadesh, Lamnamoonlek. And Warapun was the only one that actually didn't get us that victory, unfortunately. But yes, let me talk about this Warapun fight. I'll leave the parlay on screen there throughout the remainder of the video, so I will refer back to it as we go on. But yeah, this fight was a little bit interesting for me, purely because Warapun wasn't able to do what he has been doing over the last, say, 4 or 5 fights that he had in one championship. He's been on quite a streak, to be quite honest with you. He's been on quite a streak. Sorry, let me just put this here. Taking out some good names, Sand, for example, like some really good fighters. And Lobo has been like sort of on and off, hasn't really consistently put together a good string of victories. So seeing him fight at this kind of fights, not necessarily fight style, but this kind of performance after the layoff, and then being so successful against a very informed Warapun was very impressive. Very, very impressive. And I say it's more impressive because Julio Lobo was able to utilize a very good weapon in the clinch, where I felt he was probably going to have difficulty in that fight. Purely because Warapun, obviously, if you watch a lot of his fights, he's a very clinch based fighter, right? Very durable, throws a lot of overhand rights, single shots here and there. Then when he gets into the clinch, that's where he lets his work go. The elbows, the knees, the aggression, just powering through his opponents. But Lobo was able to game plan against us quite well. Right, firstly on the outside, he was a lot sharper, using much better boxing combinations. In fact, he used boxing combinations. Warapun, he didn't use any combinations. He threw one shot at the time, which was making it a little bit easy for Lobo to counter him and see what he was gonna throw, which was primarily overhand right, one shot at a time. Lobo was coming, attacking the body, a lot of 2 pieces to the body, 3 pieces to the body, coming up high, attacking the body in the head again, getting into peekaboo stance, forcing Warapun to stay there. And here's the mad part. Lobo was actually comfortable in the clinch, and this is what actually won him the fight for me. He already dominated the outside fighting, right out of the range, having the faster boxing combinations there. He was already winning that battle. And then when they got into the clinching positions where I thought Warapun was going to be better, here's the funny part. Lobo was the one who actually initiated the clinch, right? And there were times Warapun also initiated the clinch, but then he would come up second best with it. And what Warapun was successful with in the clinch was maybe a couple of elbows coming over the top while holding the wrists. But Lobo was able to stop all of that momentum and all of that pressure from Warapun by simply just consistently kneeing Warapun. Warapun has a habit of, when he's in the clinch fighting, he's not clinching. He's not traditional Thai clinching you. He's got the clapping hands behind the head and throwing elbows from there and throwing knees from there. He does this thing where he's kind of going over his opponent's hands or arms, clinching them like this, which I find interesting because then he can throw his elbows from top, bringing them down, right? But what he does by doing that, though, and I don't notice this now in this fight because it got exposed, was Wadapun's defense to the body is completely abandoned. It's gone. It's taken away once he commits to that kind of clinch fighting. Arms up over here. And Lobo's taller than him, so he had to clinch like that. Just the way he was fighting against Honor as well. But Lobo matched him with power, was even stronger than Wadapun was. And again, the knees that Lobo was throwing in the clinch weren't only effective simply by being powerful knees, but he was consistently throwing them. So it was like, it wasn't just like a knee and then we fight, hand fight, knee. No, you would knee maybe 3 or 4 times off each other, like, bah, 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 bah. Knee, the whole time. And what it was doing was it wasn't allowing Wadapun to settle. He couldn't mount any sort of offense from the clinching, which is where he was best at. This resulted in him losing the clinch battle, which ultimately resulted in him losing every round. Look, he's still durable. He's still a fun fighter. He's only 23 years old. He just turned 24, or something, if I'm not mistaken. He's very young. But I think this fight taught him a lesson. I feel that he's going to have to level up his game and not only rely on winning fights within the clinch positions, because that would work against a lot of fighters that are maybe from your European-based fighters, right? But it's not something he must overly rely on. He needs to also level up his game on the outside. He doesn't throw a lot of kicks. I'd like to see him attack the calf and the body a lot more. Even if you just practice, if you rely so much on your boxing, which is not even his best weapons, and then his infighting, which is his clinch, I would say what would make him even more dangerous is if he practices a very deadly teep kick, something that maybe that you would see the Japanese kickboxers use, right? If he can utilize something like that, and only use that, he doesn't have to do any roundhouse kicks, anything that's like super difficult to do. But if you can just hone in on a very potent teep kick and add that to his arsenal, it will set up the clinching fight a lot easier. And also, when he gets there, his opponent will be wounded. It'll make it easier for him to dominate those clinching positions. He doesn't have to be the most superior boxer. He's got good boxing defense for the most part. He can throw good overhand rights, good overhand lefts. Right? He doesn't throw a lot of combinations together, a lot of one punch situations with Warapun, which is fine. Now let's add to that one punch. When you're on the outside, he doesn't throw any jabs. If you're not going to throw any jabs, what's your measuring tool? I'd love to see him throw some tips in there. If he can add a lot more tips to his game, he doesn't have to get so extensive, right? But just add some very key weapons like that. It'll definitely level up his game and could deal with someone like Lobo, who wasn't really defending his body that much, being hyper aggressive with the boxing. Lobo was there to be hit, and he didn't. He just wasn't. He wasn't doing it because he was headhunting most of the time, which made it easy for Lobo to block. Be involved in there, getting very tight, body shots, body shots, getting to the clinch, just dominating Wadapun every single moment of that fight. Deserved the win. Didn't get the bonus, but he deserved the win. I thought he won every round, and that was the only fight on our party that didn't work because of Lobo just looking like the more experienced fighter. And they were saying something about it on camera as well, that on the broadcast, that Lobo is actually a fighter that loves to be in the clinch as well. If you watch a lot of his fights, he enjoys clinch fighting. It's where he does a lot of his best work. So yeah, lessons learned for Wadapun, lessons learned for us as well. Not to discount someone that hasn't been active for so long, and then also not to always ride the tails of someone that's got so much momentum in Wadapun. He did fight someone that's got 5 years over him, so 5 or 6 years older than him. So it makes a lot of sense that he was a little bit lost for what to do next. That's what I'm referring to. What happens next for these guys? Not too sure. Bantamweight division is quite stacked. I think you're gonna see more of them on the Friday fights cards. Especially Wadapun, now they took this loss. He's probably gonna have to go and do go on another crazy run like he did now before he can get a contract. Lobo, I think the name will carry him a little bit further, but again, we'll have to see him fight a couple of more fights on the Friday fights cards before we can really put him in a contracted position. I say like one championship. But give me your thoughts, chat. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what you guys make of this performance, and who you think this guy should be fighting next. At this point, I don't really know who. I can't consider giving him anyone that's like of high profile, just because they're gonna have to go on a run before they can even get to that kind of level yet. But yeah, give me your thoughts while I keep moving to the next one. Okay. Co-main event. Excuse me. Co-main event's been that kind of day. Co-main event, we had Kong Klai taking on Kendu Irving. This was a banger. This fight was super entertaining. And also, again, not necessarily the highest profile of names, but noticeable. I think Kong Lai is a noticeable name. I think Kong Lai had unfortunate losses, but he's one of those fighters that I could easily, if he had won the fights that he lost to, he would have been in the contract position. Like he would have been contracted already. He would have had the contract already, right? But yeah, he lost to some of the biggest names, and that's why he's still here to fight the fight cards. No shame in that though. Kendo Irving, I like what DSPV said in the live chat. He's a little bit green, and I agree with that. I always felt that he's got a very talented fight style. He's a big bantamweight. The guy's got the length of a lot of the guys, but very new to the sport, as you can see. And yeah, that's why when fighters touch him with a land on him, he gets dropped very quickly. In this fight, he got dropped as well. It was a crazy fight. It was really a good pace. Indo Irving was very aggressive in the early rounds, but then got caught with a nice trick left hook from Conklai, which dropped him. And then from that moment, Conklai was just control of the fight. He dominated the first round. Got into the second round, did more of the same. Just put the pressure on in Kendo Irving. Really had him packed up a lot. Kendo Irving did fight back. I will say that he did. What's I'm looking for? He did take up the space in the ring in terms of like fighting back and saying this is also my space here. He didn't just get backed up every single time, and that was the first and second round a little bit. With Conklai was just landing a lot cleaner than him. Then we got into the third round, and this was the round that really picked up the pace for me. Kendo Irving was really working off that jab brilliantly, and had Conklai struggling with it. And then for some of the clinching positions, using that height, using that power and that size, turned some big elbows up in the clinch, which cut Conklai open really badly. And then also that kind of forced Conklai to fight back. And it did, and made a bit of a war between the two guys. And then when Conklai came back, fighting hard, pushing forward, he got caught a few times by Kendo Irving's beautiful left hook, which rocked Conklai a couple of times. But then also Conklai, being the guy that he is, just took it and walked on and kept fighting. And it made a really good fight. And he had Kendo Irving rocked again later in the third round, like much later. Entertaining fight. Love to see these guys throw down. I could watch them fight over and over just because of the kind of fight styles that they bring. Beautiful display of weapons. No one got knocked out. No one got dropped other than Kendo Irving. But I think it's impressive to see that he is able to come back from that knockdown and put a very competitive fight on Conklai. Now, he may have not won the fight, but I was impressed with the ability of coming back. Considering if you watch Kendo Irving's fights in one championship, the guy gets knocked out. Like, he gets knocked out. People put him away. So to see him come back and fight against a very hard-hitting Conklai, get knocked down, get up, and then make a competitive fight out of it, and arguably made an argument for himself. It's like I find that very impressive. Whereas Conklai, I think what I found Conklai to be very impressive was he didn't get knocked down. Fighters were able to knock him down. Conklai has a little bit of a weak chin, if you think about it. Like, the man is able to, whenever he does fight, we've seen him get knocked down. And this fight, I was quite impressed with his aggression and his shot selection, his composure, the way that he's kicking. He's fighting a lot more cerebral, if you think about it. Like, he's fighting a lot more composed. He's picking his shots. He's not just making a war out of fights. He's not just going in there and making it a stand and bang like a street fight and then getting KO'd every time. He's actually keeping his guard up. He's being defensive. He's picking his shots really well. I thought it was a great performance from Conklai, and I think he deserved the win. I see the same majority decision, which means that one of the judges has given the fight a draw. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can agree on that. I think Conklai was 2-1. I think Kendo Irving arguably won that third round, and even that third round, it was very competitive. I mean, Conklai got the 10-8 knockdown. Then he won the second round, 10-9 in my opinion. And then that third round was the round that was kind of swinging between the two of them, and it could have gone either way. I think, for the benefit of the doubt, you say Kendo Irving landed the bigger shots in that third round, so I'd probably give it to him. But that doesn't mean that it's a majority decision. I would say unanimous on Conklai all day, every day. Great win for both guys. Great fight for both guys. And who do I think they should be fighting next? Not too sure either. I mean, if you think about the main event, you could even do, losers against losers and winners against winners. You could go Conklai versus Julio Lobo next. You could do Kendo Irving versus Wadapun, considering that they're in the same division. And Kendo Irving is now on back-to-back losses. Wadapun's on a loss. You'd like to get back into a win streak. I'd say book that fight. It'll be a great fight to watch. Good test for Kendo Irving and also a good test for Wadapun. And it'll also kind of set the tone for where they go next in their careers, if you think about it like that as well. But yeah, great fight, co-main event. I really enjoyed it. One of the fights of that night when there was a fight card that kind of needed a superstar on it. I think that was a really good fight for the fight card. But give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section while I keep it moving. Okay, this is a fun one. Isanua versus Pampadesh. This was a very good fight. I really enjoyed it. Flyweight Muay Thai. I had Pampadesh winning the fight. I think that he bagged the first 2 rounds. The third round was again very competitive round. Could have gone either way. Probably would have given it to Isanua just because he was landing the more power shots. But then Pampadesh doing what he does every single time. When you think you have him beat, this man's heart, this man's heart cannot be questioned. Pampadesh has got a heart of a fucking champion. This man, I've watched a number of fights of his now, and when I've seen fighters put the hurt on him, you think you're beating him, and then he just for some reason pulls the fire out of him, and he just fights back and wins fights, bro. He just it's almost like I don't know what it is or how to explain this properly, but it's almost like when you see Pampadesh fight, then he looks there's a look in his eye of like you are not going to beat me today. You can crack him with something, you can really put the damage on him, and then he just unloads something more powerful and faster, harder, and backs you up. Maybe even get a knockdown, maybe even finish you. And you're like, where did that come from? And I've seen it happen multiple times now in his fights, and I'm like, you know what? You can't question the heart of this guy. You can't. He's built like someone that cannot accept defeat, just doesn't want to accept it. And SNU put him in positions, some sticky positions, backed him up a lot of times in this fight, put some heavy combinations on him, powerful left hooks were landing, and Pampadesh was just like, screw it. I'm gonna go forward. I'm gonna put the hurt on this guy, and he did it successfully, and he won the fight in my opinion. Round one, he was faster and sharper, technical. Had SNU missing a lot of the times, lots of body shots. He loves to start with the body first. Bam, bam, comes up with the head. Pampadesh was just clean and slick in that first round. Second round, more of the same. More of the same. SNU with aggression, trying to get back into the fight. Pampadesh just too slick about it, making his way around the ring, finding ways to not accept the pressure from SNU. And again, a lot of the movements, and he does this thing where he'll be stepping back, but as he steps back, it was the right straight to the head. And that's a key weapon that was stopping SNU a lot of the times because it forced him to defend as he was going forward a lot of the time. He had to stop and be like, oh shit, okay, cool. Are we striking? And then he would swing a left hand and Pampadesh would duck under, get out of the way, and reset the whole position again. And he did that very well in the second round. In the third round, SNU was definitely catching Pampadesh. Yeah, now he got super aggressive, and he was definitely catching Pampadesh with the body shots and the left hook to the head. The Pampadesh just kept taking him on every time he did get tagged. So I would say the third round was so competitive. Pardon me. The third round was so competitive. They were because SNU was started to be not only was he starting to be aggressive, he was aggressive from the first round. But now his aggression was backed up by painting and choosing his shots. And he would throw a right hand pause, wait right there, and then wait for Pampadesh to counter, and then throw a left hook and then catch him with it. And he was being a little bit more selective with the shots and composed, which he didn't do in the first 2 rounds, which is why I think he lost that first 2 rounds because he, excuse me, he was headhunting a lot and not taking his time, picking that shots. He was just trying to make a crazy fight out of it. And I think Pampadesh was privy to that style, and he knew how to get around it a lot of the time, which was being offbeat with his striking. He didn't just back up, and like, no, we're all gonna go. It's like when you're playing drums and you're playing a 16 beat or 8 beat, and you know on a specific number on the fourth or the third bass you're gonna hit the snare, and you're gonna go. You just know. Fighting is kind of similar when the guys are backing each other up or back each other or walking in forward. There's this bounce, and it's like you time it, and it's like count. And you kind of know that. And what Pampadesh does really well is he disrupts that rhythm by striking in half of a second or a second off the beat. He disrupts the beat. So there's no consistency to the beat because he's disrupting it by throwing shots when you think he's not going to, or when you expect him to throw it, he moves away. And I like that he does that. And I think that's what made Isanua struggle to find his rhythm in this fight. He was very aggressive and he used his height and reach really well, but the timing wasn't there for him, so he couldn't land anything because Pampatish didn't give him that opportunity to land anything because he disrupted his timing all the time, and that's what won him the fight. Very key factor that won him the fight. Very impressive stuff for them. I love to see the growth between the two young men. Pampatish, 24 years old. Isaniwa, 22. I mean, these guys are going to be brilliant when they grow up. I mean, when they get into that, you know, 26, 27, 28 year old, they're just gonna dominate spaces. I love to see it. Hopefully that one championship keeps them around and picks good fights for them so that they can grow really well, and then we can see them reach the upper echelon. Okay, let's move and chat to the next fight. Let's go. Sorry, I'm just getting something outside. Okay, this fight is the fight I'm going to spend some time on just because I felt that this was poor judging, absolutely poor judging, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys can help me with the rule sets, but I feel that I speak for a lot of fans in Muay Thai that the rules need to be considered here. It needs to be changed. You can't have the fight happen and then your entire audiences in the venue are booing, and they're booing massively for this fight because the rules need to be reconsidered. They need to be reconsidered. Look at the fight with Kong Klai and Kendo Irving. Kendo Irving got knocked down in the first round, right? And then Kendo Irving fought back very competitively round 2 and round 3. Maybe even won that third. I'd say he won that third round, right? Kong Klai had an advantage because they were 10-8. Now, in this fight here, it was the same thing, right? Same thing happened. Very early on in that first round, or I'd say halfway through the first round, Nayan Mohammed Petsam took on Nitikon. This is Atomid Muay Thai. In the first round, Nayan was by far the better fight, right? By far. It's almost like the shades of football when someone's by far the better team and then they still lose the game, right? Popping them off the park but still losing the game. Same thing here. Nayan dominated that first round. Dominated that first round, right? Gets into the gets like the last say minute or two of that first round. I say the last minute. He gets knocked down because Nitikon just starts swinging and wailing and lands, and that's a good combination. That drops Nayan. They get back up. They got about 50 seconds to go. Nitikon rushes down to go and get another knockdown, but doesn't. It's unsuccessful. Nayan backs him up immediately and starts putting pressure on him again and starts landing bigger shots on him again. Backing up Nitikon again, just landing. Right? Round ends. Okay, you give Nitikon 10-8. All that. We go into the second round, and Nitikon can't throw anything. Completely unsuccessful. Can't get any pressure. No forward momentum. Not a single step forward. On the back foot the entire round. Can't throw anything. It's like he's just boxing. He can't throw anything. Nayan piecing him up. He starts running away. Nitikon starts running around the ring, trying to get away. Every time Nayan gets close, he ducks under, shoots for a takedown, gets double underhooks, and holds it there the whole time. Referee keeps warning him, stop. Nitikon does this for an entire 3 minutes, guys. Entire 3 minutes. Loses that second round, 10-9, right? In my opinion, that's 10-8 round because Nitikon is doing absolutely nothing. Like, I watched the fight back before doing this recording. He didn't do anything in that second round. He didn't throw a single punch. And when he did throw something, it was like a overhand, but like half-hearted overhand, misses the overhand. Just so that he can actually shoot for a takedown. That's why he throws it to back Nayan up and shoot for a takedown. In a sport that you can't do, by the way. Right? Definitely warns him again. They're going to the third round. The round starts, and the first thing Nitikon does, shoot for a fucking takedown. I'm using the word takedown. He's not actually going for a double leg or anything like that. But he's going for a double underhook arm, body to body, basically. Right? In MMA, that's a suplex, poof, right there. It's an outside trip, inside trip or outside trip, double underhook, poof, I drop you. Right? Nitikon does that. The first thing he does that. Gets a yellow card from the referee. From my understanding, and I've seen this happen in one championship multiple times, I see it happen in any other sport. When you get a yellow card, especially in combat sports now, when you get in a yellow card, right? From my understanding, that's a point deduction. I later learned that it's also a purse deduction. In this fight, it wasn't a point deduction, it was only a purse deduction. So he still lost around 10-9. Nayan fucked him up again in this round. Lots of pressure. Can't land anything, can't punch. For the entire round, ran away, look for moments to grab. Double underhooks the whole time. That's what he did for the whole third round. And wins the fight. And you can see the look in his eye when they announced his name. You could see, now this is why I really want one championship to consider introducing corner cams in the middle of the fight so we can hear what the coaches are saying. We've got translators already. They can translate these fighters when we hear them talking in the corners. So I'm sure that Nitikon's coaches must have told him in this fight, we know how Nayan is. He's high pressure, high volume, powerful kind of dude. Right? He's going to come at you with a lot of volume. Grab him, throw out the overhand, throw out the punch, or straight grab him. I'm convinced coaches did that because he did that for 2 rounds. For 6 minutes, he did that. Now, in my opinion, this is why we need to consider the rule change. If you're going to give the 10-8 knockdown to an athlete, fine. 10-8 knockdown, I get that. That's all in well. But maybe we need to reevaluate how a fighter can earn a 10-8 result. In MMA, you can get a 10-8 by dominating somebody without getting a knockdown. You can take them down and completely smash them. Right? You don't have to finish the fight. You don't have to finish the fight right there. But that's a 10-8 round. I know it's MMA. I get that. It's different discipline. But if you get a fight like this when someone lands a 10-8 and then chooses to run away for 2 rounds, you can't give that person points for that round. You can't give them points. And in my opinion, a 10-9 is not even warranted. That's a 10-8. If you and I are fighting each other, and I choose to run away from you for 3 minutes of the fight and knock you down in the first round, now for round 2 and round 3, I don't engage with you at all. I'm just backing up. I'm letting you come to me. When I see you get aggressive, I grab you, I hold you for 10, 15 seconds, everybody breaks me off. If I do that 4 times in the round, 3 times in the round, I've wound out, I've taken away more than 50% of the clock. It's gone. It's gone. Well, 50% of the clock is gone. Just for me grabbing you, sometimes even longer than 15 seconds. If you include the time of separating and a warning and all that shit, right? By the time the referee says, right, fight, dude, the round is gone again. Your time of getting me KO'd is completely taken away. I've removed it. You get what I'm saying? I'm just feeling something burning here in my house. So yeah, that's what happens. And then you consistently doing that the whole time. I'm not punching you at all. I'm just grabbing. I'm waiting for the moment to come at me. When I know that you're committed to the aggression, I know that means you're not going to commit to any defense. I grab you every single time. That needs to be reconsidered because in a fight, in a discipline where grappling is forbidden, it's highly, highly, highly disrespectful. But people don't like it in Muay Thai. You can't even dunking someone. It's just not allowed. Why are we not deducting the point? This guy did it for 2 rounds. Giving him a yellow card, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, you lose a little bit of a fight to purse. You're still gonna get paid and you're still gonna win the fight. There's no lessons being learned here. Fighters will continue to do that kind of stuff. So, in my opinion, the way Nayan put the beat on him in round 2 should be a 10-8. Then you got a level playing field. If not, the yellow card should have been a point deduction. So he can't get 9. So if he loses the fight, if he loses the round, he doesn't get a 9, he gets an 8. And then they would then put the scoring cards in Nayan's benefit. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm a Nayan Muhammad fan. Yeah, I like the way the Muhammad brothers fight, but they're very new to me. So I need to watch more for me to really get behind them. My thing is I'm all about fairness, and I think the rule set was incorrect here. I think this rule set is catering into a fight style that can become boring, that can become questionable. It could rage. It could make fans rage. It could lessen the integrity of the brand and of the sport as well. Nitikon chose not to engage for 2 rounds. For me, is like that. You just can't get points for that. You choose not to fight in a fight. That you can't get points for that. You can't win a fight like that. Even though you did, because he got that knockdown early. But I mean, if you're backing up for 2 rounds, that means you're choosing not to engage. That means I'm gonna give a 10-8 to the other guy. Then you're not fighting him. He's just fighting you. So we need to rethink this, or at least the the rule set or the commissions need to rethink this rule, because it's becoming a bit of a pattern that we're noticing in the fights now, is that people are trying to land early knockdowns, and then after that they don't go for the finish. They just coast through the next couple of rounds, because it's like, if I knock you down in the first round and I make sure that you can't knock me down, you're not winning the fight. Period. Even if I don't throw a single punch. That's what you saw here. So we need to reconsider this. Something needs to change. That's not a fair way of judging fights. Um, Maybe they should remove the 10-8 and just be that three knockdown rule stands. Um, and knockdowns are closest to finishing the fight. That's it. It doesn't give you a 10-8. It just means that you win the round because you got that knockdown. If they're double knockdowns, it's a draw, 9-9. If it isn't, one of the fighters who did get a knockdown gets that round 10-9. You should only warrant a 10-8 if it's domination. If I knocked you down 2 times in a round, like the way Takeru beat up Dennis Pruitt in round 1, that's a 10-8 round easily without the knockdowns. Right? Like, you dominate somebody. Dominate them. That's a 10-8 for me. Right? You can dominate someone without knocking them down. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. You're probably going to see a run back of this fight, and hopefully Nayan ends Nitikon, because that for me is a coward way of fighting. It's a cowardice way of fighting, in my opinion. I don't like it. I don't use that word often. I don't take the word lightly either. But I felt that performance from Nitikon was a very cowardice way of fighting. Give me your thoughts, chat. Let's go. This fight, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It was a little bit boring. I'm not going to lie. Split decision, yeah, I think Saksa I edged it slightly. It wasn't really that entertaining. Kaya said had very good boxing. Didn't kick much. Saksa would back foot counters a lot of the time. That's because he was forced to back foot counter. Kaya said really put the pace on him a lot in that fight. A bit gutted that he didn't get the win. Saksa needs to do a bit more for me to really get behind him. But yeah, the fight wasn't that entertaining. So, in fact, when we actually watched this fight live, the live watch along, I remember we was involved with the chat a lot, and then just ended up not talking about the fight at all, which is a sign that means the fight actually didn't have anything happening. And then I watched the fight back again earlier today, and honestly, again, not much between the two guys. Very even fight. Not a lot of engagement, a lot of missing out of range striking between the two guys. But Saksa Wood just did enough, because whenever he did throw, he was landing clean. He deserved it. He deserved it. I'll keep it moving. Tang Nong Tong took on Nong Am. This was also a great fight. Split decision. Now, this was a nice back and forth fight between the two ladies. I think Nong Am landed the more damaging shots. I think that's because Tang is like the smaller, very small version of her, like in terms of not built the same way. So like the shots are going to show a little bit more on Tang over Nong Am. Nong Am is so durable, and she's built in such a way that when you punch and kick her, she doesn't really show the wear and tear as much. But she's getting hurt. You're landing on her. She's getting hurt. And I think that's why the fight was split decision, because it was like that. I think Nong Am had a fantastic first round as always. Dominant first rounds. Good boxing, good shots to the body. But then they went to the second round. Tang came back, used her reach and her speed. And that one in the second round, because she had the higher volume and she was popping out the jab and kicks a lot more. Nong Am did a fantastic job adjusting with that high kicks by throwing over and rights. Never Tang went into the pocket, so which eliminated the high kick. Yeah, that third round was it was close for me. I don't know. I wouldn't largely say Nong Am won it. I think it was a very even third round. I think Tang. I think the judging is a bit interesting, because damage is the number one rhetoric, right? But even damage has a multitude of how to understand it, right? It's different sort of understandings or definitions of the word, right? Because, for example, what can I take for a good example? Oh, okay. Just because I saw it recently. Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval in the UFC. They fought each other, right? Joshua Van threw a lot of strikes, but so did Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval actually outnumbered him 2-1, almost 3-1 throughout the fight, like outlanded him a lot of the times. And Brandon Royval cracked him with big shots, lots of power punches. He even had Joshua Van's nose slightly busted up, right? But damaging shots, it landed on him. Now Joshua Van wears the damage differently. Like he does not going to visibly show that he's got a busted up nose or busted up eye. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he was getting punched countless times, more often than he punched his opponent, Brandon Royval. However, Brandon Royval has got a lot more scar tissue. He's got more wear and tear on the body. So when he gets hit, shots is going to show a little bit more. It will look like he's more damaged because he's bleeding a little bit more. He's a little bit more bruised up. But he's not actually. You would argue that they're actually landing the same amount of damage on each other. If not, Brandon Royval's landing more damage. But it's not visibly being shown. And that's Nong Am. Nong Am is built in such a way that you're not going to visibly see the damage on her. But I can bet you that she's actually taking a lot of shots. She's getting beaten up. She's getting damaged. And I think that's what is difficult sometimes for judges to sort of grasp. It's all about visual damage and then is over the actual damage, the internal damage, like what's actually doing to the opponent. The legs are cooked, the liver's cooked. That things like that is stuff that you can't see plays a big dividends in the fight. You know what I mean? What happened, for example, before he got busted up in the third round, I could see in round 2 already that his body was cooked because of the shots that Lobo was landing on him. All the body shots, right? It stopped what happened. It made him take deep breaths. He was, watch him fight. You can always see his mouth is always closed. In this fight against Lobo, you could see his gum gone half the time throughout the fight. That told me that he was breathing heavily through his mouth because his body was basically beaten up. Those are damaging shots. And for me, if I'm a judge, I count those as big points, bro. He's beating this guy up. And I think Tang was landing on Nong Am a lot of the times in this fight, but it's not visibly showing the same way. You go, okay, he's not actually hurting now. But you can interview fighters after the fight, and they'll tell you, the person, they were catching me. You know what I mean? The damage was there. It hurts. Anyway, good performance from Nong Am. Good to see her back. I still don't think she's going to make a title run, honestly. I don't believe that the style that she has is going to get her there. It's just not enough. It's just not high volume enough. But she's got that durability and that power shots that can definitely keep her in and around the top 5, top 10 for sure. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, please. All right, now we're gonna get to the fun fights of the fight card. Though the opening fights of the fight card was super entertaining. Lamnamoonlek took on Javier Galvez, and this was a bantamweight kickboxing. It was the first time Lamnamoonlek fought at this discipline apparently, and I'm gonna say it now. You look brilliant, guys. You look brilliant, like he always does. Lamnamoonlek is such a high level fighter. I had no idea that he was actually fighter of the year for Thailand a couple of years in a row. Speaks volumes of the young man, considering that they have Rautang, Superlek, Superbon, or Tawanchai, all these guys. Lamnamoonlek was the guy that got it. Well done to that. He took on a top name, undefeated fighter in Javier Galvez. And Galvez spoke about this fight saying he's going to knock out Lamnamoonlek. He's the bigger, stronger guy. I think he's got a talented kickboxing, but he's just a kickboxer. That's what he is. It's like a lot of volume, not a lot of stinging shots, just a lot of volume. And because he's primarily using his boxing, I think Lamnamoonlek was able to beat him up every single time because he was able, like, you're just going to box with me. I'm going to be faster. Lots of lateral movement, which allowed Lamnamoonlek to get out of the range a lot of the time, especially when Galvez was pushing him up against the ropes. And then all Galvez was looking for was a lot of hooks to the body. Beautiful weapons to use. It's beautiful weapons to use. But he needed to set them up, and he didn't set them up. He was just pressure. And then when he came into the pocket, Lamnamoonlek was like, step out of the way, ducks to his left, body kick, high kick, gets out of the way. And Galvez wasn't able to deal with this throughout 3 rounds. He was getting pieced up with that left kick that's going to the body, keeping him low kick, inside low kick, high kick. Galvez just he didn't have a response for it, and that's why he lost every single round, in my opinion. Lamnamoonlek looks really good. I'll say this now. He could become a bantamweight kickboxing champion. He can. With a style like that, which is very reminiscent of Superbon's fight style. If you think about how Superbon fought against an Edie, it's very much the same fight style, almost identical actually. And that's a style that you can use. Look, the bantamweight kickboxing division is on stacked murderers, though, bro. A lot of fightings where they can beat him quite easily. But I think with the IQ of Lamnamoonlek, I think he can become a problem here. But I think you should consider doing Muay Thai again. I think that's where he's best at. Even though he did a very good fight here against arguably an unknown fighter. I believe Lamnamoonlek must consider going back to the 4 ounce gloves in Muay Thai. I think he's a beast. He's a beast in that in the 4 ounce Muay Thai gloves. But in my opinion, out of all the performances of the fight card, bar some of the KOs, Lamnamoonlek's performance for me could have easily been performance of the night. He just went to town on Javier Galvez. He's been going Galvez, and yeah, just a great win for him. So I'm gonna keep it moving. I want to talk about Tim. Let's talk about Tim Keogh. Tim Keogh took on Maihan Futawi, and this was featherweight Muay Thai. So these are the big dudes. And I'm gonna say this now. I know we have Nico Cadillo, featherweight Muay Thai. I know he's there, but Tom's got the stuff. He can become a problem as well for this division, which is already stacked, by the way. I think Tom can definitely add to that problem in terms of being a big European fighter base coming into the one championship and targeting this division where Tawan Chai is there, Super Bon is still there, Shadow, he's fighting Muhammad Jonas this weekend. There's Pampara Koyate, Luke Lissay, Nico Carrillo, some big fun names we can look at to watch one championship. And Tom, the way he fought, put him in there, please. Let's get him into that division. Nicely. He can even fight against the chef next if he's willing to fight. Who else fought? There's another guy that fought. Oh, that wasn't this division, it's a different division. You could even get Pampara. You could even get Smoking Joe. It's just a very good division to watch. Mayan, I don't know what to make of the guy. I thought that he started the fight super aggressive. The moment the ball went ting, he just ran straight up towards Tom. Dude, like straight, like he ran up to him. So just throwing fast punches, aggressive, just all sorts of aggression. And Tom was actually doing a very good job at being defensive. Like he was guard is high, he was moving a lot, staying out of the range, putting up his guard. And what I liked about what he did really well was you noticed quite early that Mayan Futui wasn't prepared to reset some of those positions. He was just swinging. So what Tom did really well was would keep the guard out and then push out an elbow, pushing an elbow, and it will that elbow every time he did it, it would land on Mayan. And every time it did land, Mayan would actually pause like and then throw. I was like, you know what? You're gonna get KO'd here. And Tom was cracking him with that elbow the whole time. It's beautiful, right? He stands in the nice guard, tight guard, and he'll just step forward. As he steps forward, he'll throw that elbow out, catch you with it. It's beautiful stuff. And then he walked, and then when he did land this elbow consistently, you could see my arms getting backed up. And I was like, oh shit, okay, backs up. And then when they go into another boxing exchange, Tom catches him with a left hook, boom, drops Mayan to his knees, but then he jumps back up immediately. As he jumps back up, Tom catches him with a left hook to the body, bang, drops him, throws a tiny, bang, gets the knockdown. When Mayan gets back up, Tom rushes him down again and again, elbow, beautiful elbow, and then when the finishing sequence is beautiful because when he walks up to Mayan, he picks the left uppercut, but then doesn't throw it, walks up to him again, and then when Mayan does this, he goes left hook to the body, drops him, and I was like, beautiful finish. Loved it. Just loved the finish. And it gets the bonus. KO of the night, in my opinion. The finishing sequence is high level. I think he's made a statement here, and I'd love to see him grow in this division. From Keogh. Well done for the bonus, bro. That was just some high level shit right there. Great performance. For Mayan, probably will see him back again. But for me, debut probably got to him under the lights, too lack of composure. Next time, be more composed. We know you got the speed. Be a bit more selective with that shot. And I believe he can become a very good fighter. But that kind of fight style, that kind of pressure, and that overwhelming fight style is going to get him KO'd every single time. Let's go. Olivia Dabrowski took on Wang Si-chung, and Wang fought a fucking good fight against a very aggressive game opponent in Olivia. Olivia, high pressure, lots of volume, lots of kicks. I love the volume from her, by the way. But I think Wang was beautiful in how she was able to defend against it and attack the body, coming up with elbows and being strong in the clinch and being out of range, ducking out of the way, landing. Because Olivia although she was having a lot of volume and going forward a lot, she didn't choose her shots really well. It was up in the air. Um, not a lot of good defensiveness when she came getting back into guard after throwing something. It's just she doesn't stop and you know feint and bring something out of her opponent. She just goes, and I think Wang was able to deal with it. Realize, okay, this is gonna be your pattern. I'm gonna clinch and elbow you, clinch knee, low kick, get out of the way, range. And Olivia won every round. She won the first minute, and then the next 2 minutes of each round, Wang was just more durable, had more energy, could go and just could keep going. And Olivia would slow down every single time, and that's what I think where she would lose the fight. Not much you can really say because that was the pattern of the fight for 3 rounds. Like nothing's changed from it. It was just Olivia, high volume aggression for 1 minute, slows down, and then Wang starts going, starts putting the pressure on her and lands. Put her elbows in the clinch, cutting up Olivia. Fantastic knees to the body, and then when on the outside, she was attacking the body and the head. Such wonderful combinations. Deserved to get the win. Um, Unlucky for DSPV. I think he picked Olivia. He said it about her. I spoke about her in the comments last week. But Wang leveled up. She looked different and yeah, deserved the win. Silachai took on Kojiro Shiba. This was strawweight kickboxing and yeah, Kojiro Shiba. Fight didn't even take that long. The fight didn't even take that long. It started, and Kojiro went forward. Beautiful combinations, attacked the body really well. Silachai was just basically second guessing everything. And then once Kojiro threw his first body kick, it dropped Silachai. He went down almost instantly. Got back up. Kojiro went forward, threw a high kick, two-punch combination, high kick, two-punch combination, left body shot, bang! Dropped Silachai again. Didn't make the 8 count. Ended the fight, first round knockout. Well done to Shiba. I think if Shiba keeps fighting with that particular fight style, I think he can grow exponentially. He could put himself in the conversation for fighting for a title. I think that the strawweight kickboxing division needs to be consistent next year. You don't want to have someone like JDB be your champion and only fights once a year. So I would love to see this division move. Have these guys fight more frequently. Let's get more fighters in this roster. And then we can put JDB up against some top talented fighters. He's probably going to get Rui Bartolo next, who's just going to beat again. But Shiba possesses weapons that hasn't been thrown at someone like JDB. I'm not saying Shiba beats JDB, but I think there are weapons that JDB would have to deal with. He hasn't dealt with one championship. Great performance from Shiba, gets the bonus. Love that. Let's see how he goes. This was a good fight. Chayan Ozak beat Imran Satiev from Qatar. This was flyweight MMA. Imran Satiev, aggressive grappling, high level grappling, a lot of the Russian-based style Dagestani wrestling. But that's all he has. No striking. When they're on the feet, he looked so uncomfortable. Chayan Ozak was piecing him up on the feet, strong boxing, which forced panic takedowns from Imran. Imran took him down every time he did take Chayan down. But then in the second round, when he attempted to take him down again, it didn't work. Chayan sprawled really well. He reversed the position, got into half guard. And I like what he did in half guard. He was aggressive. He didn't allow Satif to pass anywhere. Satif looked like he was gas. And then Chayan threw a beautiful 12-6 elbow. Catching Imran. Imran immediately covered up, turned to the side, went into a fetal position. And Chayan just started unloading left hooks to the face from there. Elbow left hook. Powerful stuff. Getting the TKO finish. Deservedly, by the way, because Chayan, something about these Mongolian fighters, guys. They are so powerful. Like they can wrestle very well. They can strike very well. They don't get KO'd easily. They don't get tapped out easily. They are hard to knock down. They keep coming back every time you hit them. Dude, just built differently, these guys. I don't know what it is. I'm very excited to see how Ink Ogle does against Fabricio Andrade, who's a top world-class bantamweight right now. But yeah, Chayan deserved the win in my opinion. I was happy that it was this kind of performance because I don't like to see these wrestlers only wet blanket you. I hate it. I fucking hate it. Because if you're a dominant wrestler and you can get someone down easily and hold the position, then why don't you just finish the fucking fight? Just finish the fight. If you can out-grapple somebody, then beat them up. Don't just hold them there. It takes a lot of energy to hold someone down. A lot of energy to hold someone down. And that's why Satif didn't have any power left. He used so much to hold Chayan down. And when they got the second round, you could see he just didn't have any juice left. So I don't like the style. It's like a kamikaze bomb. It's like, it's powerful to have, but you also need to be prepared that if it's not going to work, it's going to bomb up in your own face. You know what I mean? And I think that's what happened here. And Chayan deserved that win. Well done to him. Bonus finish. Let's go. And in this opening fight, Nazareth Latha Zuala from India, who looks like he's from Myanmar, beat Masaki Suzuki. Masaki Suzuki apparently is a kickboxing heavy fighter, which you could see, by the way, and when the fight started. This fight only lasted 16 seconds, and Masaki wanted to box strong, fast, and early, and got caught to the left hook counter. It dropped him twice, and then once he's on the ground and pound, finished the fight. Nasdaq wins the fight. I believe he's a well-rounded grappler as well. Good striker. He's stacked for strawweight, by the way. So I'm keen to see what he does in the division. He's a very big story, but for Suzuki, maybe you should consider going back to kickboxing, where he doesn't have to worry about being taken down and he can just strike. Okay, that's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Please drop a like, share, and subscribe. As you can see on screen, we only had Barapun that luckily, unfortunately, lost our parlay. But what else can you expect for the remainder of this week, chat? We do have our preview, which will be coming out tomorrow for One Friday Fights. One Fight Night 38, and Raj versus Baturku. And then on Wednesday, we'll have UFC 323 preview. It will coming out, working on either doing them live or not. Probably going to move to doing them all live next year. And then Thursday will be a preview for One Friday Fights 135. We'll be live on Friday for 135 135. And then for Saturday morning, for 4 a.m., you will have AD do the live for Friday Fight, for Fight Night 38. And you'll also be live for UFC 323. Unfortunately, your boy won't be available this weekend, but AD will have you covered. Okay, so on that note, please drop a like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For myself and the Fighting with Friends team, have yourself a fantastic week. And I will catch you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.